Our current long-term goal was to prepare for the inevitable confrontation with Dawnslayer, but we couldn't afford to lose sight of some of the other threats we were still facing. We didn't know exactly what to expect from the Blightwalker, but there wasn't much we could do about that just yet. But what we could do was take steps towards minimizing the threat posed by the Lost. We had been facing a steadily growing number of those things during some of our more recent operations, and the Reapers had been dealing with them for years. I decided it was time to coordinate with the Reapers to put our men through specialized training so they could learn how to take down the Lost as efficiently as possible. After that, I checked in with Tygan and instructed him to turn his research efforts towards studying the Lost once he was done with his current project. While he wasn't particularly enthusiastic about hacking up a zombie, I think he was still just happy that I was enabling one of his more gruesome hobbies. Afterwards, I killed some time down in the Sci Labs, looking over the latest reports. As usual, Atlas and Naz had continued developing strange new powers, but Naz was apparently coming close to reaching his limit. The lab techs weren't entirely sure what would happen if we exceeded that limit, and they were curious to find out, but I quickly intervened. Once Naz had officially reached his limit, we would cease all additional testing on him. The lab techs would just have to find another test subject. In the time it had taken me to visit the Sci Lab, Tygan had already finished hacking up enough corpses to put together a surprisingly long report on the Lost. He hadn't really been invested in the project to begin with, and it showed in his report. The report was mostly filled with anecdotes and speculations, but he had at least come up with the designs for some sort of ultrasonic decoy that he assumed could probably be used to manipulate the Lost swarms or something. He didn't really seem to care. I decided it was for the best to give him some work that he found more interesting. I told him to focus all of his available resources on beginning our plasma-based weaponry program. It would take 2.5 weeks to finish, but he was fairly certain he would be able to deliver some impressive results. It was best to give Tygan some space, so I headed over to the Resistance Ring to check in on our latest covert operation. Our team had successfully recovered the new equipment that Geist had offered up, so I quickly had the engineering team install our new holo displays. Then I broke in our freshly upgraded facility by setting up a new covert op. Since our next short-term goal was to once again cripple Advent's Avatar project, I decided it was a good idea to send out some of our more capable operatives to soften up one of their facilities in preparation for our full-fledged assault. Sergeant Zoltan and Corporal Morgan seemed well suited for the task, and I even made sure to assign them some extra supplies to minimize the chances of anything going wrong. Now there was nothing to do but wait, so I settled back and enjoyed a few quiet days. But before too long, word came in about a new target of opportunity. Apparently, our new allies in Asia had managed to disable an Advent supply caravan, but Advent reinforcements had arrived before they could carry off most of the loot. Although it had been enough to scare off the local resistance fighters, the Advent forces on site didn't actually seem all that significant. On the surface, it seemed like a good opportunity to lay claim to a bunch of poorly guarded supplies, but I couldn't help but be suspicious. This was, after all, the Blightwalker's territory, and the locals had warned me about the little games he liked to play, hunting down resistance fighters for sport. I wasn't going to take any chances, so I assembled a strike team equipped with some of the finest gear we had to offer. Spartan and Major Williams would take point as our scouts, with Vlad Kapesh and the Bear providing heavy support, and Phoenix providing medical support. This also seemed like a good chance to test out that new Viper suit that Lily and Tygan had come up with, and who better to test it out than our resident snake killer, Sergeant Reeves. I hoped I was just being overly cautious. If everything went smoothly, our squad would be back within just a few hours with a few tons of new supplies in tow. But if my time with XCOM had taught me anything, it was to always plan for the worst.
Resistance operatives disabled an Advent convoy in this region, and they sent word for us to come in and seize whatever we can. This is the perfect opportunity for us to recover some of their gear. We'll need to secure the AO and neutralize any hostiles still in the area if we're going to get anything of use out of there. 1-5. The disabled Advent convoy is just ahead. Engage and eliminate all hostile forces. It looks like Advent is throwing every grunt they've got at us, Commander. They're flooding the area with troopers. We need to be ready for a fight.
Hey, RetconRaider here, and welcome back to episode 21. We're on a pretty straightforward mission today, your basic supply raid. All we have to do is clear out the enemy forces while leaving their supplies intact. Speaking of which, it looks like we've already got visual on our first enemy pod. It looks like it's just a priest and 2 troopers, so it's definitely nothing to worry about. We're still in stealth, so there's no reason to attack them this round. We're just going to move everyone up a little closer, and we'll take out the pod once we're in a better position.
Understood. Moving out.
In retrospect, there were a couple of pieces of equipment I forgot to equip on our guys, but I did at least remember to bring along the Viper King suit. This unique set of armor does provide some modest defenses while also boosting Roderick's mobility. It also grants him this unique Frostbite attack, which is actually pretty similar to Mox's Justice attack, except it also has the chance of freezing the enemy solid, which causes them to miss their next turn. I also brought along the cryo grenades that come with the Alien Hunters DLC pack, because I'm about 90% certain we're going to run into the Hunter for the first time during this mission. The mission preview listed this as a very difficult mission, even though there's only 9 humanoid enemies on the field. But that's because I assume it knows in advance when one of the Chosen is going to end up ambushing us. Unfortunately, that enemy pod is moving a bit further away from us, so we're going to have to spend another turn moving up and getting into a better attack position. We might end up running into another pod, but that shouldn't be a problem. We're kitted out with enough specialty gear to easily be able to handle 2 pods worth of Advent units.
I'm on the move. Moving to designated position. Orders confirmed. Moving out. Verstanden. Bin unterwegs. That's affirmative.
Okay, let's get everyone into Overwatch and see what these guys do.
I've got my eyes on it. Skelibate. Moving to Overwatch.
Looks like we've got another pod incoming.
You will never hide from me.
A heavy mech and 2 more troopers. Still nothing to worry about. Well, let's take a look at our options here. I'd like to attack these guys this turn, but I'm worried that second pod might be a bit too far away for us to effectively fire on them. Let's see if Phoenix can reliably neutralize that mech. Well, we're guaranteed to stun it, but we've only got a 58% chance of controlling it. We'll hold off on hacking it for now, but it's nice to know that we can reliably stun it if we have to. For now, let's have Chiron kick things off by lobbing a claymore at that first enemy pod. I am going to try to avoid hitting the truck because I don't want to accidentally damage any of the supplies.
Leave this here.
Now, I'm tempted to set that claymore off with a grenade like I usually do, but since this pod is mostly troopers, that actually could be more overkill than we need. It looks like I can't really hit them cleanly anyway, not without blowing up the truck. I think we might be better off saving our grenades for if the Chosen decides to show up. So let's go ahead and have Chiron set it off instead. Yeah, it looks like the Claymore did more than enough damage on its own anyway. The priest managed to survive, but the blast took out both of the troopers. The priest isn't much of a threat since we've got most of our guys kitted with mind shields, so instead we're going to focus on taking down the second pod.
Fire in the hole! They're onto us!
Huh. Looks like Vlad's acid bomb mucked up their AI because the troopers didn't bother scrambling.
On the move.
That means as long as I can get line of sight to them, I should be able to take them down pretty easily. But unfortunately, it does look like they're going to be just out of range for most of our guys. Well, let's focus on taking down the mech for now. WotC managed to land a pretty solid hit, but it doesn't look like Roderick's got a good line of sight. And unfortunately, it doesn't look like we've got a lot of cover to move up to. Well, I guess we'll take a chance and move Williams up with his run and gun ability. He can actually take out that explosive container over there. Let's focus on taking down the mech instead. That's one less threat to deal with. Now let's see if we can find somewhere to move our other guys up to.
Heading out.
And since Phoenix is well out of range, let's use his last action to put Williams on Overwatch. Whoops, are we... Okay. There we go. We've got a Chosen on the field.
So many choices.
Wow, this guy has a ridiculous number of abilities. He gains shields if we miss him, he automatically spots concealed units, he can summon allies, he's immune to explosions, well, I guess it was pointless to bring all those grenades. And he increases his defense after his first attack each turn. But he's weak to close range attacks, and he's weak against Templars. But we didn't bring any Templars with us.
So little time.
Now, I've never fought the Hunter before, so this should be an interesting learning experience.
Going to make this easy for us. Keep your heads down and press forward. We need to get to take them out. Adjusting sights. Ziel steht noch. Whoa!
Okay, let's take stock here. Well, first we need to take out the most obvious threat. These guys are already on the brink of death anyway, so it should just take a couple of shots to finish them off. The priest just put himself in stasis, so let's go ahead and knock that other guy off Overwatch now.
What did you expect? Hey, why don't you pick on someone your own size?
I assume the Hunter is slowly moving towards our position, so let's go ahead and get Chiron up front to scout him out.
Now we fight me over.
Okay, well,
I'm always happy to add another Reaper to my trophy case.
It turns out the hunter can see through shadow. Good to know. Looks like we just got a glimpse of the third pod, too. They're right at the far end of this truck.
Moving to position.
Since we can't rely on stealth, let's just go ahead and move the rest of our squad up. We'll just have to meet this guy head on.
On your order. Come get some. On the move. Affirmative. Covering now. All set. That's right.
And there's that third pod. Just another mech and another trooper, so still nothing to worry about. It's really just that hunter that I think we're going to end up having a hard time with.
There's nowhere to go.
Okay, what exactly did he just do? I assume he's using some form of squad sight, but...
Menace 1-5, the chosen hunter is targeting your position from long range. You need to get out of his line of sight before it's too late.
Oh, well, okay. That seems pretty straightforward. I guess we just need to move Joshua Williams out of the red zones here. Well, we'll come back to him in a moment. For now, let's focus on taking down this third pod. Chiron doesn't have a very good chance to hit this trooper, but he can automatically hit that explosive tank next to him. I am a bit worried he might end up taking out one of the supply containers, but if he can also set that trooper on fire or take out his cover, then I think it's a fair trade-off. And since the hunter is ignoring the rest of the squad, let's go ahead and focus on taking out that other mech.
On your order.
Whoops. Okay, we're fine. Now let's see if we can shred some of that thing's armor off. So far, so good.
Went off the armor.
Looks like Bear's not going to be able to move up far enough to help us with the mech, so let's have him start circling over towards Chiron instead. He can't really hit the trooper either, so let's finally get some use out of that suppression ability.
Blasting that target.
Just 3 more guys to work with, and Williams is going to have to spend his turn getting out of the hunter's way. I'd like to move Phoenix up to see if he can neutralize that mech. But let's go ahead and bring Roderick up now. Oh, and he can actually use his teamwork ability to give Vlad Kapesh another action. Nice. Now let's go ahead and take off the rest of that armor. Now we can get Williams out of there. He can go join Chiron and Wojtek over on the left flank.
Getting it done.
And let's bring Phoenix up to see if we can finish off that mech. Nice.
Target neutralized. I'm pinned down here.
Okay. We've still got one trooper on the board, but he's on fire. He'll be dead within a turn, but we'll go ahead and finish him off the old-fashioned way.
I will go. Re-up and reload. Tell your gods I'm coming.
I think Advent's been letting some of the rejects slip through production lately.
And now we'll just keep pushing up with the rest of the squad.
On the move. Come and get some.
Ready to go. I'm on it.
Roderick's going to need to sprint clear of this shot, but I'm getting the distinct impression the hunter's just going to keep doing this until we can finally get him within visual range. Let's see. Now where can we move Roderick? I'd like him to move up with the rest of the squad, but unfortunately there seems to be a severe lack of cover. At least if I want to get outside of the hunter's death zone. I'd also like to grab that loot if at all possible. So let's see if we can bring Joshua Williams up closer to it. I'm not really comfortable with having him sprint way out in the lead, but I really don't see any other way to get that loot in time. I guess we'll just have to take our chances.
Sure thing. That's the equipment we're after. We'll have to do our best to avoid destroying the gear while we secure the area. Heading out. Heading out.
I'm on it. Holding. Skelibate.
Too close to the heat!
Well, still no hunter, so let's grab that loot and keep moving up.
Absolutely.
Looks like a couple of scopes. We can always use those. Now let's get Williams to some proper cover.
Not a problem.
Everyone else just needs to keep advancing.
I am trusting you.
Heading out.
Got it.
Moving to position. Okay, bin unterwegs.
And now let's get everyone on Overwatch.
I won't let them pass.
Moving to Overwatch. On Overwatch. Into Feuerschutz.
Okay, still no sign of this guy. I've got to say, as far as chosen fights go, this is kind of a letdown. I guess we'll just keep pushing up, and we have to run into this guy sooner or later.
In short order.
I'm on it.
Moving to position.
Got it. Sportelos.
Got it covered.
Scanning.
Affirmative. Covering now.
Bin dabei. Port. Come get some.
Hey, there we go. Looks like we knocked off all his armor on approach, too. That's a good start.
As much as I love being 2 steps ahead of everyone, Commander, I was almost hoping we wouldn't be having this little chat today. Your people have managed to keep things interesting, but it all ends now.
That's the Elder's hunter. From what we've heard, he's a relentless tracker with an unnatural ability to call his shots.
Okay, let's see if we can take this guy out. I don't know what kind of abilities he's packing, but I do know he's immune to explosives, so we'll have to play this one by ear. Let's start off by making him a little easier to hit.
You sure you're up to this?
Wow, smug. Well, now that we've got him hollow marked, let's see if we can hit him with some of our other guys. Oh, right, but I do need to remember that missed shots give him ablative shields. Man, that cover bonus is still pretty hefty. I think our best bet here is to move the other half of our squad up into a flanking position. I'm just not sure how mobile the hunter is, so I don't want to accidentally move one of our soldiers into an exposed position. Well, let's take a chance here. Williams can run and gun up to this position and hit this guy from the side with his shotgun.
Not a problem.
Ah, unfortunate. But, oh, wait a minute.
Never thought I'd see that weapon in the hands of a mortal.
My life is in your hands. I know where you are.
Williams took out his cover. Nice. I may have missed that first flanking shot, but now everyone else gets to take one too.
So, you Reapers do know how to shoot.
I'd love to keep him rooted in that exposed position.
On the move.
Unfortunately, the bear is definitely too far away to hit him with a frost bomb. So we'll just have to take advantage of his exposed position while we can. Phoenix can hit this guy, but before he does that, let's spend his first action getting Williams back on Overwatch. And now we'll hit him.
I bet you can't do that again.
Now let's see if we can get some poison damage on him. Nice.
Not a bad shot, considering the shooter.
Well, Project's not going to take that kind of comment sitting down. Well, I guess someone was bound to miss. The hunter does seem to have pretty solid defensive stats.
Shot wide.
Let's dance.
That was close.
You're luckier than most. Who knows? Maybe you'll surprise me this time around.
Huh. He made the rather interesting tactical decision to continue standing out in the open. So let's take full advantage of that. Everybody just keep shooting him. Okay, that knocked him down to death's doorstep. And I think it's only appropriate to finish this with our own hunter. Take him out, Roderick. And that will do it.
I guess I underestimated you, Commander. And here I thought the Elders were just exaggerating.
Status confirmed. All hostiles are down and the area is secure. Status confirmed. Mission accomplished. Great job, Commander. But there's no trace of that Chosen left. I've got a feeling we haven't seen the last of them. Still, at least we ruined their plans today.
The Speaker commended loyal citizens today for standing up to those who would abandon our values for those of the old world. The remarks followed a moment of silence for peacekeepers slain by XCOM dissidents.
Elders chosen are incredibly resilient. Despite our victory over them today, we still have much to learn if we wish to destroy them permanently.
Just as I had suspected, Operation Hammer King had turned out to be one of the Blightwalker's traps. The hunter had been an unpleasant, but not entirely unexpected surprise. Blightwalker had certainly stacked things in his favor, with all sorts of tricks that had invalidated our most common battle tactics, but fortunately our men had proven adaptable enough to drive him off, at least for now. Even better, it had turned out that the bait Blightwalker had used to lure us in had been real, so now we did indeed have a few tons worth of new supplies to work with. We were certainly going to have to keep our guard up during future operations in Blightwalker's territory, but for now, I was just happy that we finally had enough supplies to move on to the next stage of our plan. It was time to start preparing our assault on Advent's East Asian Research Facility.